were harsh in your characteristics, and you had a hard heart when you dealt with people, then the people would have turned away from you. And therefore, our Prophet ﷺ is made a role model for us when it comes to good manners. And even he, despite his rank and stature, is reminded that if you did not have good manners, even if you have the wahi coming down, and you have the greatest rank, and you have, but if you do not have good manners, then your whole da'wah will be ineffective. There's no point in calling people to that which you do not have good manners. And that is why our Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. The only reason Allah has sent me is to perfect مكارم الأخلاق لأتمم مكارم الأخلاق, so that I can perfect the best of all manners. And no doubt, my dear brothers and sisters, the topic of akhlaq and adab is a constant topic of our khutab and our durus. But wallahi, we still find the ummah so lacking in akhlaq. We still find the ummah not knowing how to treat others, Muslims and non-Muslims, elders and youngsters. We find them lacking in this manner. And so we need to keep on reminding ourselves, and we need to keep on reminding others of the importance of akhlaq. And in today's short khutbah, I decided that we will summarize some of the main blessings of akhlaq mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah in 7 characteristics, so that insha'Allah ta'ala each one of us can be more motivated, can be more eager to perfect our mannerisms. And this is human nature, that when we learn the blessing of something, we become more eager to get it. When we learn the benefits of something, our desire to attain that benefit becomes even more. And so insha'Allah, I will remind myself and all of you of 7 simple blessings that the Quran has mentioned and the Prophet ﷺ has mentioned of good akhlaq, so that the goal of the khutbah, we will be motivated to have good akhlaq throughout the day and night. Our Prophet ﷺ, of these 7 blessings, our Prophet ﷺ, whenever a sahabi came to him and asked for comprehensive advice, almost always that comprehensive advice was about manners. Remember the sahabi that came and said, Ya Rasulullah, give me advice. And the Prophet said, don't get angry. This was not theology, this was not ethics, this was not some deep fiqh. Do not get angry. In Arabic, 2 words, لا تغضب. The man felt shortchanged. He said, no, I want some advice. Awsini, give me something real. I want something big. And the Prophet kept on saying, لا تغضب, لا تغضب, لا تغضب. And this is all about manners. And once Mu'adh ibn Jabal came and the Prophet gave him advice. And he said, oh Mu'adh, اتق الله حيثما كنت. And some of the scholars say this is of the last sermon that he gave to Mu'adh, the very last, when Mu'adh left for Yemen, and he gave him a little bit of a lecture. And this is the last phrase that was in that lecture, that oh Mu'adh, have taqwa of Allah wherever you are. And whenever you do a bad deed, follow it up with a good deed. وَخَالِقِ النَّاسَ بِخُلُقٍ حَسَنٍ. And the last thing he said to him, wherever you are with the people, have the best akhlaq when you meet with them. خَالِقِ النَّاسَ بِخُلُقٍ حَسَنٍ. Make sure when you're with the people and interact with them, then meet with them and interact with them in the best of all manners. Another sahabi came for advice, and our Prophet ﷺ said, avoid the major sins, اجتنبوا الكبائر, and overlook the faults of other people. Overlook the faults, be forgiving, be gentle. And all of this goes back to akhlaq, because what makes you bad akhlaq with somebody, it's his faults with you. What makes you angry and irritated when he does something to you? And so our Prophet is telling the first sahabi, don't get angry. He's telling Mu'adh, when you meet with people, meet with them in the best manner. This third sahabi, he's saying, when people do things to you, just overlook it. Don't be so petty and harsh with them. And all of this shows us that almost always when somebody came for advice to the Prophet ﷺ, what advice would he give? Something to do with the perfection of manners. And this shows us how important it is. A second blessing of akhlaq, our Prophet ﷺ said that people cannot be given any blessing better in the eyes of Allah than husn al-khuluq. No one is blessed with a better blessing than husn al-khuluq, which means good manners. Your money, your wealth, everything is secondary. Because how many are the people that have money but they are despised by mankind? How many are those that have other worldly blessings but the people hate them? And yet, wallahi, a person might have nothing of this dunya, but he's nice and gentle and kind, and he is the most beloved in the whole community. Why? Because of good akhlaq. So, good manners is the best treasure that you can have, that people can appreciate you for. And our Prophet ﷺ, in one other advice, he said to one of the Sahaba, he said, I advise you to have good manners. عَلَيْكَ بِحُسْنِ الْخُلُقِ. I encourage you and advise you to have good manners, and also observe long periods of silence. For by the one in whose hands is my soul, the creation is not beautified by anything better than these two things. مَا تَجَمَّلَ الْخَلَاقُ بِمِثْلِهَا. The creation is not beautified in any matter better than these two things. What are these two things? حُسْنَ الْخُلُقِ, and then keeping your mouth silent as long as you can. The less you talk, the more problems you will get. The more you open your mouth, the more you will hurt people, right? So the Prophet ﷺ said, what are those two things that are the most beautiful, the most handsome in any human being? Good akhlaq and طول الصمت, being quiet for long periods of time. Less not being talkative, not being always open mouth. So the Prophet ﷺ told another Sahabi, this is what I advise you, good manners and husn al-khuluq. Why? Because nothing beautifies a person more than good manners and long silence. This is a second blessing of akhlaq. A third blessing of akhlaq, and this blessing is one that I find great encouragement in, and I think most of you will as well. That most of us, we know that we are shortchanging our religion when it comes to the worship of Allah. We know that we are not worshipping Allah the way that we should. We know that we are not fasting and praying and Quran and dhikr as much as we should. And we feel an immense sense of guilt, and we should feel an immense sense of guilt. But there is a way that we can get those blessings. Our Prophet ﷺ said that a righteous Muslim, meaning a Muslim who prays and is the basic Muslim, and a Muslim that is avoiding the major sins, a righteous Muslim can achieve the level of the one who's sawam qawwam. Sawam means he's fasting all the time. Qawwam means he's praying tahajjud every night. That the Muslim who's okay, he's decent. Now notice here, we're going to come back to this point. He didn't say the Muslim who's not praying. He said the Muslim who's average, he's okay. He's avoiding the major sins, he's praying the prayers. That Muslim can reach the level of the elite Muslim, Sawwam al-Qawwam. The one who's fasting, the one who's praying all night, بِحُسْنِ خُلُقِهِ, simply through his good akhlaq. And so, when we look at those in the past, or even we might know somebody, we know they're praying tahajjud 2-3 hours a night, we know that they're this and that. Well, realize that if you cannot do this, there is a means that you can do to get to that level. La yablugh, he will get to that level. How so? By his good akhlaq, simply by having good manners. Allah Azza wa Jal will elevate your rank to be equal to the one who will achieve that rank simply through hard ibadah. And there is no doubt that this is good consolation for the many of us. We find ourselves shortcoming when it comes to the Quran and dhikr and ibadah. Well, here is a way we can make that up, that this is the blessing of akhlaq. You will get to the level of the one who is a very righteous worshipper simply by your akhlaq.